Hi, I'm Jay Whaley here in San Diego with Whaley Studios. I'm going to show you a new tool that we've just developed and I think you're really going to like. Now, typically in the past when we wanted to solder something together and we needed to bring that heat in from the bottom, the typical tool we used was a tripod, a three-legged tripod. It had an iron ring at the top with a piece of screen over the top, and you would put your torch underneath to heat things up that way. Well, we used that for a long time in our studio, but then we found that we would occasionally bump into one of the legs of the tripod and knock it over on the floor, and that would be a disaster. So what we've come up with is this new soldering screen from Eurotool, and it's a reversible screen. And the advantage of this screen is, first of all, that you can change out the screens in here. You can go from this coarse screen here to finer screens, and these are available from Eurotool as a distributor, but you'll have to go online or go from your retailer to get the tool and the extra screens. But you have a smaller screen set up at the top. It's very stable, it's very flat, and when you need to do a bigger soldering, you can you do this, and you have a wider screen area here for doing something like a bracelet. So also this thing comes apart, which is wonderful. It comes in a small flat box, and when you need to store the thing, you can just take everything apart and it goes in this small box. So it's a really nice tool. Whether you're a beginner or a professional, this is really the way to solder things together from underneath. So for instance, we have a typical job that you might need heat from underneath would be to solder a bezel to a back plate. So we've got a 22 gauge bezel that we've already made, and we've got a 20 gauge piece of sterling silver. And we're gonna give you a little demo here to show you kind of what we do and why this screen is so terrific for this kind of process. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this piece of silver, I'm gonna flux both sides. I'm gonna flux both sides of this sheet of sterling silver with a paste flux. I'm going to put it right there in the center of the screen. I'm going to take my bezel, my fine silver bezel, and I'm going to just put that right down onto the top of the plate there. Now we're working today with a acetylene torch. It's an ambient air acetylene torch. It gives us lots of heat, very controllable. We can get either lots of heat or a little bit of heat. And it's a really great torch for that. It gives us a nice bushy flame and can get even heating underneath, so we don't get any warping. We want a nice sort of a softer flame to do this process. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the torch, and I'm just going to dry the flux off so it's not wet. So you've seen that the flux got kind of white and frosty. That means that it's dry, and this is now an optimal time to put my solder inside there with some small chips. And I'm gonna lay those little chips that I've cut out of medium solder inside that bezel. Now it looks like I'm running short of solder here. I'm gonna cut one more piece to go in there. I'm going to cut one more piece with my shear here. I've got kind of a too large piece here, medium solder. I'm going to cut that sheet down just a little bit. And I'm going to put that last piece of solder on the inside of that bezel. I hope you can see it around my fingers. And now we've got just 4 pieces of medium solder inside that back plate, inside the bezel. So now what I'm going to do is turn on the torch and heat this from beneath so we don't risk burning the bezel up. All the way around. So that's what this little soldering screen station is all about, is being able to come from underneath and heat things up evenly without any fear of knocking over the soldering station. So these are available now. Eurotool is the manufacturer and the distributor. They do not sell retail, so you'll have to go online or to your favorite tool retailer, and they have these for sale. It's just a great little tool.